Hi, my name is Charles Malki, biologist and plant expert with Ivy Organics, where we grow cool plants. And today we're here at A Million Drops, located in Los Angeles, California, that caters to the participants that are either at-risk youth or people that are just momentarily or currently without home and shelter. And this service helps provide food and showers and laundry services, among a lot of essentials to just knowing that you're part of the society and part of the community, and they help a lot of the individuals here feel loved and needed as they're transitioning at whatever time in their lives. Here behind me I see Scotty here in the green, Jonathan, as well as Daniel, correct? And today we're going to be planting some tomatoes in what's going to be our edible food forest, which is also going to include some fruit trees that we've installed about 6 months ago here. And we're going to continue planting during the remainder of the spring. Here we are at the last week of February. We're starting our tomato plantings, and I just wanted to share with you helpful tips on planting tomatoes in soil that has never otherwise been planted in before. And here we are working on rock, hard, very rocky, very clay, compact soil. We're gonna bring life to that soil together today and get those tomatoes installed, we're hoping within the next hour. So join me on these steps to getting these tomatoes planted in the ground. Here we go. Here we are now, we're preparing a hole for planting our tomatoes. When it comes to tomato care, tomatoes can grow roots that are anywhere from 5 to as deep as 10 feet. But we're not going to be digging a hole 5 to 10 feet deep. All we're going to be doing is trying to dig a hole that's somewhere between 12 to 18 inches deep, and then we're going to allow the soil biology to do the rest of the digging for us. Specifically, we're talking about the earthworms, and we're going to get to that momentarily. So as you can see here with the soil, it's very compact, very rocky, and very clay. If you can see, it takes quite a bit of energy and effort just to get an inch out of it. So over here to my right is Scotty. I'm gonna have him share a few words with you while we continue digging. So Scott, the camera's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is Scott, and I'm a community garden organizer. I started doing this work about 10 years ago at Los Angeles City College. We began advocating for students to be able to grow food, whether it was a science project or to feed people or just to get people collaboratively together creating something, which gardens are great for, as you can see. We've been doing a lot of really cool things here in the A Million Drops garden at Hollywood Adventist Church. I did my first garden at the Community Helpers Food Bank in Brookings, Oregon. We found out that the Oregon Food Bank has a model of partnering with nonprofits and churches and food banks to do this kind of work and get people growing their own food. It changes the taste of the food. It changes the experience people have when they're coming to a nonprofit or to a church space. So we did that in 2013, and it has a greenhouse now and a few garden beds, and the preschool next door is doing gardening classes. It's really engaging. And then we started community garden share at the flag lot next to St. Timothy's Episcopal Church in Brookings, Oregon. We did a huge no fences garden in the flag lot. It now has a greenhouse as well. And we're really excited. There's a whole bunch of terraces there and a whole bunch of opportunities for people to grow food and engage with each other and make really cool things happen there around the creativity of gardening and producing food for each other. There's also a few places like the Senior Center in my hometown in Brookings, Oregon, the Chetco Activity Center that now has a garden, as well as the public library and some other churches. I'm really grateful for Charles Malki and Ivy Organics and A Million Drops for the ways that they've helped me in my transition of being unhoused here in Hollywood, California, Los Angeles, and the way they've kind of reawakened this passion that I have for gardening organizing and my participation. I was out here weeding actually the other day. We'd also like you to check out a really awesome podcast called Real Good Stuff that we have. You can learn more about it at realgoodstuff.org. And Charles is actually one of the guests on the podcast with me. And we talk about this gardening program and ways we can be in community and grow food together and make our community stronger. And yeah, it's a beautiful garden. And yeah, I'm really grateful to Charles and to Ivy Organics. And I'm excited about what can happen here and the collaborations that we can build around this garden at A Million Drops in Hollywood Adventist Church. Thanks for listening.
So check out the trench that we've just dug. We've got a length of about 10 to 12 feet that we've just dug out. Again, it was very compact, very rocky, very clayey soil. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna add about 50% compost to this native soil that we've just excavated. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add some compost to the native soil, mix that 50% native soil with 50% compost, and then we're gonna backfill it back into the trench. The product that you use when it comes to a compost is irrelevant, really. I'll share with you what the ingredients are here that you can look for on your bag. But the goal is you're gonna be adding something that's gonna break down, add fuel to the soil biology, give your soil biology, such as your earthworms and your beneficial bacteria and your beneficial fungus, something that they can consume, and they'll actually further enrich, adding more compost and manure to the soil, which will benefit your plants. If you come in a little closer, I want to share with you what these ingredients are, which include recycled forest products, arbor fines, composted dairy manure, composted poultry manure, dehydrated poultry manure, and hydrolyzed feather meal. And these are basically going to be added to the soil, and what it's ultimately doing is it's feeding the soil biology, which will in turn feed your plants. One thing I want to caution you about not doing is not putting a potting soil into your in-ground plantings. As you're adding a potting soil to your native soil mixture will actually do more harm than good to your plants, as potting soils absorb excessive amounts of moisture, which will potentially lead to root rot and overall compromise the health and life of your plant. So do not use potting soils for your in-ground planting. Specifically use your potting soils for your potted plants. And I've seen a lot of people actually make that mistake, and that's why I'm sharing that with you now. So let's get to adding some of the compost to the soil. Yeah, we're just gonna mix it and then backfill it right in. If you guys can help me, that would be great. So here I am now with Betty Jo, and she's got a few words she'd like to share. Listen.
Hi, I'm Betty Jo, and I've been working with Charles, and I'm so glad that they have this gardening class because it's educational, and you can learn, and it's going green and learning about God's country. I mean, what God put on the earth for us, so we could replant and show our next generation how to live in case we lose our water. And I'm really grateful for Earth Angels, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.
Scotty and Betty Jo, we're gardening.
Hey, 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 go green.
Hey, 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 go green.
Go green.
Nice job.
Okay, when will we plant? Hold on. Okay. That's all we're gonna plant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you missed it. We dug a whole trench.
You did?
Yeah.
That takes showers sometimes.
Well, no, this was after.
Okay, we're going to stick these in, right? So everybody knows that they're tomatoes. Uh-oh.
So here we are now. We've got a line of about 8 tomatoes in a row. We've decided to put the Roma, which is a determinate variety of tomatoes, on the end because it's all going to fruit and flower at the same time. If I can bring this a little closer to you, you can see the Roma tomato. And again, this is a determinate variety of tomatoes. It's going to grow, it's going to flower, and it's going to fruit pretty much all within a matter of a few weeks, and the entire plant's going to die, compared to the indeterminate varieties that'll continue growing all the way through spring, summer, early fall, even going into winter. Indeterminate varieties just keep on growing, continuously flowering and fruiting along the way. Scott, I'm going to have you actually pull the Roma tomato out of the container. We'll save the label here on the side. So there we go. So one of the tips when it comes to planting your tomatoes is I always recommend ripping the bottom 1/10 of the roots off that have potentially coiled, potentially become root bound. So you can even rip those roots right off. And the goal is it's going to recreate roots that are going to continue growing down the hole. So you've done that. The next step we're going to do before you stick it in is you're going to remove half of the leaves alongside the plant. The reason we're removing half of the leaves on this plant structure is we're going to plant this tomato deep. Unlike all the other fruits and vegetables that you're going to be planting in your garden, tomatoes love being planted deep, as they'll continuously root along the stem, increasing stability, and ultimately you'll end up with better, healthier fruit yields as well. So here we are, planting it deeper into the hole. We can actually go a little deeper if we've got the hand tool here. And you can just put it in the hole. If you don't go too deep with your plant, you can also rest it and still accomplish the same goal of getting more of the stem under the ground. And now we can simply backfill the soil. Brought 2 bags of fertilizer. Scott, I'm gonna have you actually talk. We've been talking about these for a couple of weeks now in our gardening class. Tell me what you know about 6 macros plus fertilizer.
Gosh, 6 macros plus fertilizer. There's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, and calcium. Plants need 6 macronutrients, not just the 3, not just the nitrogen, potassium, or nitrogen, phosphorus, and
Potassium.
Potassium, right? I was right all along. They need those other 3 that are left out of most fertilizers.
So of all the garden centers I've taught at, I would say 90% of them don't know that plants need more than just those 3 NPK fertilizers, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And 6 macros plus delivers to your plant all of the 6 macronutrients for optimal plant health. When it comes to tomato care, the most important thing is to make sure that it's got calcium, and calcium will help prevent a disease known as end blossom rot, which is where the bottom of the tomato turns black. And calcium is that needed element to prevent, again, that potential disease of end blossom rot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to simply add a couple of tablespoons around each of the plants. When it comes to fertilizing your plants, I recommend feeding them throughout the entire growing season. That first week of every single month, I'll typically go out and continuously feed the plants lightly. I might not necessarily follow the directions on the fertilizer label. Always do things organically, because the organic fertilizer will feed what that's within your soil?
The bacteria.
So we got bacteria, we got beneficial fungus, and we also got what
earthworms.
And the earthworms. So those are the main
air and water.
Yeah, so those are the beneficial life that's within the soil. By feeding organically, the goal is we're gonna have more earthworms, more beneficial bacteria, more fungus, and ultimately we're gonna have a healthier plant. If you use a chemical fertilizer, just the salts in those chemical fertilizers alone will harm and potentially kill all of the beneficial life within the soil, so you're taking away from the benefits of that. And one of my favorite things that we've also taught in our gardening class is that earthworms, their waste has chitinase in it, which when insects go and start chewing on the leaves, if they get chitin within their body, it weakens and potentially compromises the health and the life of those pests that chew on your plant. So simply by having more worms in your soil is going to make a more pest-resistant plant compared to if you do things using a chemical fertilizer. So now we've just fed the plant, and the last thing I'm going to have you do is we're going to spray the plant with this product over here, which is the Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard Ready to Use Spray, protection against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents. And I'm going to have you just from the top of your head, why are we going to spray the plant?
Well, we're going to protect against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents. Yeah, we're going to spray the plant to protect it. In Southern California, we get an awful lot of sun, and so this will help it be protected from sunburn.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We talked about also transplanting. When you transplant a plant, sometimes they'll begin to wilt.
Oh, yeah.
The whitewash, you can whitewash the entire plant structure using the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard, and that'll create a cooler plant structure so that it'll minimize plant stress and it can get off to a better start. And the anti-pest repellent protection will help make sure that these little plants aren't compromised. You want to get them off to a good start. So let's go and spray that plant.
That was in today's quiz.
That was in today's quiz. And if you can come in a little closer, you might even see it kind of looks like we're putting on some sunblock on the plant. This product is completely porous. You can even do your foliar feed right through that product. Once it dries, once it's on the leaf, it offers protection for an average of about 3 to 9 months, depending on how much water hits the leaves. Good job, Scotty.
Thank you, Charles.
So here I am now here with Jonathan, and Jonathan's got a few words he wants to share with you as well. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Robert Candyfield with Twisted Dr. Seuss. I'm helping with the garden today at the Blue Church, and I did a thing on for the Oscars, and today we're doing a gardening thing on tomatoes. tomatoes are cool. Tomatoes are lovely. And I guess that's all the words I got to say. But the fact is, I'm going to be on YouTube. I made everything I was supposed to do. I'm shaving, looking good, and looking happy. And the world, I want you to know that I'm not a bad guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Twisted Dr. Seuss here, live in the garden. Today we're putting 2 scoops of this 1 flower nutrient seeds, all-purpose food around the tomato plant, whatever. Today is a good day to get fed. Next is the wood chips.
Okay, so here we are now on our final step, which is now mulching or adding wood chips around each of the plants. And the benefit is, Jonathan, do you want to share a couple benefits? You might want to come a little closer so we can hear
I'd love to
Jonathan.
share a couple benefits. Today we have wood chips. The wood chips are going to help the plants grow and be nice and healthy and thick and strong. What we do when we put the wood chips around it, adding moisture, protects it from the weather and the barrier, blah, 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 etc. to the weather.
So we're just going to add, as Jonathan said, he said by adding the wood chips, the plants are going to be healthier. And the reason is, all of the elements that went into creating these trees are now going to be added to the soil. The earthworms and all the beneficial life is going to come in contact with the wood chips, breaking down those elements, returning it back to the soil to then benefit the plants. Overall, the benefits are it's going to help retain moisture, so it's going to be less amount of water spent watering your plants in between watering days. So less watering. We're also going to have less weeding, so that's going to save you also some time. We're going to add a nice 2 to 3 inch layer of wood chips. Overall, it also offers like a blanket of protection. In the summer, it's going to keep the soil cooler. In the winter, it's going to keep the soil warmer. So the plant overall is just going to be less stressed depending on what the weather does.
There's one other benefit. The soil's nice and warm and tender. I can feel the heat from the wood chips based upon from the bag to the soil.
Absolutely. And in these wood chips, you can see it comes in, I just filled this up just before planting today. I got it, if you're anywhere in the Los Angeles area, you can go to Griffith Park, and it's a free resource. All the dead trees throughout the city are ground up and basically create this amazing product to benefit all of your plants within the garden. And I'll put that address right here on the screen for you as well. And I've got to visit a lot of my friends. Every time I go out to pick up the wood chips, I run into a lot of you there as well, and I'm glad to see that people are taking advantage of this free resource that you'd otherwise be paying top dollar for at the local box store. So if you want to come a little closer and see how we're taking care of these plants. Yeah. So over here we've got our Sweet 100 variety of cherry tomatoes. I put this in the forefront of all of the tomatoes that we planted today, being that it's just going to be so decorative and so ornamental with just hundreds and thousands of tomatoes. I've been growing this consistently for many years. It's one of my favorite, again, the Sweet 100 variety of tomatoes. And you can see we're adding a nice 2 to 3 inch blanket of wood chips. And the other benefit when it comes to tomatoes, more than pretty much any other plant, they hate getting soil on their leaves. That typically leads to more disease and problems for the tomato plant. So by adding some wood chips when it's going to rain, as it's expected apparently to rain tonight, and I saw in the next 10 days here in Southern California it's going to rain 5 more times. It's been one of the rainiest seasons I've experienced in at least the last 10 years, if not more.
And mine, the last 3 years.
Yeah?
I speak about 22 years.
So 22 years. It's been a record rainy winter. By putting a layer of wood chips, it's going to help the plant stay clean, and that's important for also preventing disease upon the plant. So I mean, the list of wood chips just goes on and on and on. So here we are. We've just concluded, shared as many helpful tips in regards to getting your tomato growing season off to a wonderful start. If you found this enjoyable and helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Most importantly, by subscribing down below, you'll be connected to this and all of our other educational videos, and be sure not to forget to hit that push bell notification. I'm here with Daniel at A Million Drops, as well as Jonathan, which are 2 of the participants here, and we're proud to be involved on a weekly basis, helping grow and get their vegetable and fruit garden thriving to hopefully create healthy and nutritious food for this organization.
That was mine.
That one is your tomatoes, but I know Daniel's got a few in the ground as well. Just want to thank them all and every hand that's gone into just making my effort and my contribution here each week of value. If you're looking for an organization to get involved with, A Million Drops is a wonderful organization to get involved with. I'll put their link down below as well, and it truly helps connect the community to those in need here within the city of Los Angeles. And A Million Drops helps connect the dots between those resources that are out there in the community that surrounds them. So thank you so very much, A Million Drops, for inviting me and making me a part of this project here. And as always, wishing you all happy gardening. Arr.
Captain Blackbeard here, Pirates of the Caribbean. Blackbeard here saying, good rhythm to good gardening. And the captain owns a ship.
Daniel, do you have something to say?
Thank you for gardening.
Happy gardening. Take care. So I hope you enjoyed this educational moment brought to you by Ivory Organics, and if so, be sure to give us a thumbs up, and most importantly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, just want to remind you to keep on growing with Ivory Organics. Wishing you all happy gardening.